You're listening to iCannabisRadio.com.
All right. Welcome to In the Lab with Jennifer and Tamar.
Hello.
How we doing out there in Radio Land? Sorry about last week. I actually went on a much-needed vacation, and Tamar was slaving away doing her science thing. And Oz is going nuts. Anyway, so yeah, I went to the East Coast. It was pretty exciting. I went to Northborough, Maine, Northborough, Mass, and then Portland, Maine. My sixth great-grandfather was the first officer in the Coast Guard. Isn't that cool? So he was actually, they actually took him out of his original grave, and they buried him in 1975. He died in 1812. In 1975, they buried him at the Coast Guard Academy in Connecticut. So, and my dad was also in the Coast Guard, so we went down there, and then we visited. And his name was Hopley Yaton. And then we visited his wife, who died in 1790. And she's buried in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. And I could not believe, it was crazy. I mean, I really don't know. I didn't know too much about my dad's side of the family. But my dad was born in Camden, Maine, and then moved to Colorado Springs when he was like 4 months old. So I got to see old family I, maybe met when I was like 3. So it was very exciting. And then I guess it would be my great uncle, he died, and we spread his ashes over the ocean outside of Camden, Maine. So it was pretty cool. I mean, that wasn't, he died and all, but I didn't know him. But just being with my family and stuff like that, it was pretty incredible. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So much needed vacation, that's for sure. But I'm glad to be back. I love the sun.
Yeah. And before that, you were was it Boston or D.C.?
In Massachusetts,
Okay.
Northborough.
Okay.
So I flew into Boston, and then with my dad and stepmom, and we stayed with their friends in Northborough. So it was my dad's birthday and Father's Day, of course, so we had a little fiesta. Ate some amazing, I overdosed on lobster and clams, that's for sure. Oh my God. And I'll never be able to eat it again here because it's so fresh. It's like they just pile a bucket of clams and it's like, So, yeah, I had my fair share of eating all that. And then Portland, we drove, my dad's family left a car and we drove to Portsmouth to see her grave, and then on to Portland, Maine. And what a cool little town that is, right off the water. And got to see some cool stuff there too. So I just got back late last week and kind of been out of it. So I'm going to rely on Tamar to get us some good stuff. We had somebody lined up, but they canceled. Okay. But there's always good stuff happening in cannabis. So we have a couple of articles we wanted to talk about. And then I also kind of wanted to talk about what's going on with the other states. I know that the rules come out for Colorado July 1st. Have you heard anything about that?
I haven't.
I haven't either. So it's going to be very interesting how we started at the task force in January, then went to legislature in March, and then formed the rules now, and had the MMED do all that by July 1st. So that's going to be very interesting. I know that for testing, we can apply finally for a laboratory license in October, which I'm super excited about that. But the rest of the states, I actually did go to, the Wellness Connection of Maine. There's 8 dispensaries allowed in Maine, and Wellness has 4. And Becky, I've actually met her a few times. Do you remember her? I don't know if you've met her, though.
I think so.
She started with Berkeley's patient group in California.
Okay.
And she now has 4 licenses in Maine. So I went there. I couldn't go in. I could go into the window, so I talked to the lady there, but Becky wasn't in. But in Maine, you have to have a state license to even look at the place. In Colorado, I think you can tour. You just can't buy, right?
And when I was in Arizona, because I think they have 9 dispensaries now.
Do they? 9?
Out of because their whole setup was they had a lottery of 99 potential licenses that you could.
In the CHAWS, right? Yeah.
And so of the, I think, 40 or 50 that were actually given out, I think 9 dispensaries are active. So I was able to visit 2 while I was out there.
Oh.
And they have, their setup is more of they have any kind of dispensary or infused products company has to have a medical advisor or some kind of scientific advisor.
Which is awesome. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah. So actually one of the doctors that I was speaking with, Dr. Cicely, she actually...
Sue Cicely, love her.
I love her too.
Yeah.
She was talking about PTSD, and I think we were talking about this on the show a little while ago. She just recently was approved for those studies that she's been waiting on for a very long time.
At the University of Arizona. That is so exciting. And we know that in Colorado... it's not even on the approved medical list, PTSD, which is ridiculous. So Arizona, and then we have Massachusetts and Connecticut that are getting their programs. It's just Connecticut they don't have severe pain on their registry. One, they have such high barriers to entry that I think you have to have like $1 million in the bank.
I heard that too. I heard it was $2 million.
It could be. And you lose it if
And that Connecticut has been kind of watching other states, and they decided on doing more of a actual seed to sale. So instead of having a dispensary or a medical, marijuana or an infused products company, you would have essentially a grow that you then take all the plants under the same roof and either package to sell or infuse into a product, and then you sell it. So everything is all under one roof. So they're doing a bit of a different model.
Which is going to be kind of hard. The whole thing here that when Arai was, there are people that want to be in retail and there are people that want to be growers. Growers are like engineers. They don't really want to talk to people. They just want to grow. And then you have the people that don't know anything about growing. And then, of course, Colorado created the vertical and you had to marry. So, but I don't think any states are doing that.
Right, besides us.
Besides us, which only for 9 months in 2014, and then it opens up. But with the taxes, so there is a 9-month basic moratorium until others can enter into the market, and for them to and then vertical integration, you can either keep it, so you still have that option, or you can do retail or grow. Now, the problem with just owning a retail store is you can't write off anything. I think most of the write-offs come from the grow.
Right.
So it's going to be very difficult. So people need to keep that in mind. However, we are working very hard. I was in D.C., and we're working very hard to, work on lobbying the 240E taxes and then also the banking, because that's a big issue. And basically the last credit union here just let 100 accounts go. So
that's what you were in DC for, is
specifically for banking and for tax. And everybody, regardless if you agree with cannabis or not, knows that that's absolutely ridiculous. And that's what people need to understand is, oh yeah, I'm in the cannabis industry. We're making, so much money. We have a money tree in the backyard, and that's just not the case. I mean, most people in Colorado are struggling, and they're barely going to hold on until 2014. And if you have to carry around thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, we know people that have gotten robbed, and it's very scary and stupid at the same time. Like, we're not, you're not treated like any other business. Can Labs is lucky though, because it's an ancillary business, but it's just a matter of time until my bank finds out too.
Right.
And even though I don't buy or sell, it's still, connected. So I don't know. There's, where there's a will, there's a way. I just think when we were there in DC, the gist was, we spoke with Vermont, and they're very much a fan of states' rights. And I think most states are like that. That's why we have states, or we would just have one state. Right. So, I think that it should be up to the state, and, that's why you move. If you don't like things, if you don't like the weather, you move. If you don't like your neighborhood, you move. So, that comes into play there. But the gist of it was states' rights, and they're starting to get more and more traction there. It's just that so much has been happening. The gun laws, now this NSA thing. And so we're definitely not at the top of the priority chain.
But, speaking of moving, because, you do bring up a very valid point. Each state is different, especially with cannabis legalization. You can kind of watch different types of models, and how they're unfolding. With Colorado, I think not just cannabis tourism, but cannabis, a relocation for a cannabis job is going to be huge.
Oh, yeah.
Opportunity. New graduate. I mean, actually, cannabis science is literally the fastest growing science right now.
Is it really? I bet. I bet there's going to start that program at colleges.
I mean, I was talking to Harvard doctors who are trying to set up a continuing education for medical doctors and naturopathic doctors, because in Massachusetts you have to actually have that further higher education, but there's really not those kind of programs right now. Dr. Melmead, down in Colorado Springs definitely had endocannabinoid biology, but he's a rarity. So it's becoming, on CNN too, the CNN chief medical advisor, was, we can talk about that after the break, but there's more validation in the scientific realm, in the medical realm, for cannabis, and people are realizing that a lot of what was being said is faulty information, just flat out wrong, or some of the studies were not actually as thorough.
And you can just take a study and spin it.
Yeah, you can take it out of context, absolutely.
Yeah. So, all right, well, we'll take a break, and we'll be right back.
Cannapunch is a delicious and effective medical marijuana beverage proudly made right here in Colorado. Each bottle is freshly infused with 100% pure flower extract from the highest grade marijuana plants available today. Using proprietary extraction methods, every bottle of Cannapunch is consistently and reliably infused with an exact milligram dosage that you can count on to relieve your symptoms each and every time. Cannapunch is delicious. There's never any medicine-y taste. We use only 100% cannabis flowers. No trim or byproducts are ever used in Cannapunch. It does not require refrigeration and comes in convenient, resealable multi-dose bottles from 60 milligrams to 200 milligrams. We have drinks with dosage that works best for you. Cannapunch is available in a variety of delicious flavors like black cherry, watermelon, pineapple mango, and blue raspberry. And we now have strain-specific beverages available just for you. Cannapunch is delicious, convenient, consistent, and effective. Give it a try and experience the Cannapunch difference.
Call Canasher at 1-800-420-5757 for all your insurance needs. Canasher understands the risks you face each day, and we are there to protect your business and your investment. Since 2010, Canasher has been serving the cannabis industry nationwide. Call Canasher at 1-800-420-5757 or visit us on the web at canasher.com to learn more about our insurance and risk management services. Proud member of the NCIA.
Green Faith Ministry is for spiritual guidance, MMJ information, and networking combined with compassionate care on the way to enlightenment with all Green Faith sacraments. Green Faith provides charity assistance, including medical and food throughout the year. Contact them at greenfaithministry.com.
All right, and we're back. So on those lines, yeah. I bet when we, in the next, well, like you said, it's the fastest growing science. So there'll literally probably be degrees in endocannabinoid or
absolutely
cannabis science.
Yeah, there's
for sure.
Endocrinologists, study of hormones. There's,
right.
They're finding that the endocannabinoid system is much more involved, than we knew, because it's a new studies, and it's kind of sad that I was very happy to see that much emphasis in the media on CNN, but it's just, I find it's aggravating that there are still people like, he was a special advisor for the Drug Free America Foundation. He's a criminal defense lawyer. He's trying to say that medical marijuana, or I should just say cannabis in general, is far more dangerous than people think. And what he was saying is that cannabis takes the worst aspects of tobacco and alcohol together. And it's just, that kind of misinformation and, inflammatory comments that have no basis in scientific fact.
Which is just so uneducated. Mm-hmm. I mean, so uneducated. Like, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, and like we were talking about off the air, as far as case studies, they can be taken out of context. So the same case study that's, say, showing with legalization of cannabis, adults 18 to 25, the sales of alcohol have decreased. Whereas we would see that as, hey, that's a good thing, not as much drinking. He was saying that what they're finding is marijuana dependence in kids going into college is much higher versus alcohol beforehand. And the question that kept being asked on CNN is, this debate is being had because we were led to believe that cannabis is worse than tobacco and alcohol, and this gentleman is trying to say it's worse than both. And more and more people are saying, no, that is not the case. It is so much better for you, so much healthier and safer.
All the stupid things I've done in my life has been because of drinking. I just can say that flat out, regardless of comparing the two or anything.
Right.
I mean, yeah, that's and anyone that knows, that has done both, knows that's the case regardless. And the whole thing is just because we're pro cannabis and everything, I mean, we're on the science side, of course, but we don't mean that it's the end all be all for everything in the world. It is for a lot of things, but again, I mean, it's not for everyone, just like some medicines aren't for everyone either. But I can tell you this, I would rather have a family member smoking than ever drinking, smoking cannabis, ever drinking, or, tobacco. Oh my God. What's very interesting, which wasn't, there were no ads against smoking when I was little. Okay.
Yeah.
So you had, this is your brain on drugs with the fried eggs. But we actually, they were smoking in planes, tobacco,
Right.
everything. Now, you see those ads. Oh my God, they scare me to death. And I wish they had those ads when I was younger, because I would have never started smoking. With, the lady that has the trach and her, have you seen that one?
Yeah.
And her face is lit. Oh my God. And the guy that lost his legs, and then the mother that's having the son give her a bath. Like, that's scary. That's what scares me. That's what hits home, I believe, with young people. Not just don't do it, but
Right, proper education. And misinformation saying that cannabis smoke has more carcinogens than tobacco is just ridiculous. And the Dr. Melamede article, because I knew that there's a difference in carcinogen activation, but Dr. Melamede is going more into, there's no actual receptors on your epithelial cells, on your lung cells, versus with tobacco.
Okay, so let's back up, though, what you first said. There's differences between, you said there's something before you said the epithelial cells.
So I knew that there was another study that was talking about, both cannabis smoke.
Okay, let's start. Yeah.
And then this, again, we have to emphasize that it's the bud. As far as I know, there are very little extract case studies. They usually...
Sure. So let's just talk about the flower compared to tobacco.
Right, and so both cannabis smoke and tobacco smoke have carcinogens.
Okay.
The difference is with tobacco smoke, the carcinogens, they're not only active, but the pathways that they follow continue to activate, inactive carcinogens. And there's actually nicotine receptors in your lungs that further that cellular process of activating the carcinogens.
Oh.
Conversely,
So like a chain reaction, like dominoes.
right, exactly.
Okay.
Conversely, with cannabis, those carcinogens are actually in their inactive form. They're pre-carcinogens because THC, other cannabinoids, they act as an enzyme to prevent that activation. And further, there's no CB receptors in your actual lung cell, your epithelial cell.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a DNA block. It's another checkpoint. So there's multiple checkpoints, I should say, with cannabis smoke versus tobacco smoke. And actually, another article is showing that if you smoke both, tobacco and cannabis, what you're doing is you're taking the pre-carcinogens in cannabis smoke and activating it with the tobacco smoke. So people who smoke both cannabis and tobacco are much more likely to get lung cancer because they have two sources of carcinogens that are being activated by the tobacco. Versus if you only smoke cannabis smoke, it's very rare for anyone to get cancer from even smoking just the bud.
Right. And then following along those lines, though, also, and again, there hasn't been some hard studies on this, but it's thought of that since cannabis is thought to, stop cancer, that maybe that's, kind of where that stops too. And that's why we don't have any documented cases of cannabis smoke causing cancer.
Right. And it's acting on it's using so many different types of molecular mechanisms. So as you're just saying, THC does down-regulate any kind of genetic expression. And then you're talking about, enzyme activity and receptor activity. So with cannabinoids, they're unlike any other type of molecule we're finding, is because they are very much so a signaling molecule as well on the genetic level. So, I mean, for me as a scientist, it's about education. you can't say these two things are the same without actually backing it up with any information. And in fact, the CNN medical advisor, Dr. Gupta, he was
in my lab.
Yes,
Woo!
I remember that
Love
picture.
Sanjay.
He was completely refuting everything that this gentleman was saying. You know, all of the studies that he has seen shows that it's safer. He was giving some addiction numbers, you know, because the other gentleman was saying that cannabis is one of the most addictive drugs out there. And Dr. Gupta was like, no, it's actually the least addictive. And they're finding, another article I was reading is showing that tolerance and dependence, the cannabinoid molecule is kind of changing how you actually think about tolerance and dependence with other drugs.
Right.
Because it is like a neurotransmitter. Yes, like all other drugs mimic some other kind of neurotransmitter. But it's different in that the receptors for cannabinoids are actually made and synthesized in the cell and then carried out to the membrane. Mm-hmm. So you can downregulate and upregulate your receptors. And so, for example, with an opiate, you take a lot of, say, cocaine, and you end up killing those receptors that you can't grow back.
Okay.
And so you kind of burn out your brain wiring.
Kind of like, is it with like meth, you lose all your serotonin, and slowly it comes back, right?
Right. It does very, very slowly.
Right. So a lot of them end up killing themselves, right? Because or going back to meth.
Right. Because the regeneration, of your brain is slowed, and so you can't recover as quickly.
Right.
The longer you go on those type of drugs. And it's interesting because cannabinoids are being used for drug dependence now, to get people off of other drugs. And that was one thing that the Inside Man was saying. What is his name? Morgan Spurlock. Because he went into some dispensaries in California, and he was saying that the conception, that he originally thought was kind of be a sleazy place, and
sure,
people are trying to get their drugs, but he said from the people he talked to, a lot of them are there to use cannabis as a legitimate alternative, and they have been able to wean themselves off of a cocktail of pharmaceutical drugs, and the main theme that was common was, I was on this list of pharmaceutical drugs and I couldn't spend time with my family. I felt like a zombie. Now I'm just smoking and I'm off of all these other drugs and I can spend time with my family. It's
absolutely. And still remember, be coherent, engage, all of that stuff versus, anyone that has been around a relative or a person on pills. I mean,
right.
They're pretty much checked out.
And you're bringing up the side effects, the side effects of cigarettes and pharmaceutical drugs. I mean, if you actually listen to those things, they're very, very scary.
They are.
And And it's not just side effects, acute side effects or contraindications. It's what will happen to my body and my body's biochemistry after being on this drug for, 10 years or a decade or longer.
But people don't think about that. They don't. And I took Accutane. So for those people who don't know, I've had very bad acne my entire life, and nothing worked. I mean, I took everything, saw every dermatologist. So finally we took Accutane, and Accutane is so bad, and they don't even know the long-term effects yet. Okay. So the first time I took it, I was, I think, a freshman in college. So 1990, I think. And at that point, no, I was in high school, I think, because my grandma paid for the prescription. It was like ridiculous amount per pill. I think it was $500 a month or something. Wow. I had to go and get a liver test. Had to prove I was on 2 forms of birth control. Back then. Now you have to, you can only get a month at a time, and you have to get checked every time. This time I was on a 6-month regimen, so I just had to go at the beginning, and then at the end they checked my liver. But it's so bad. And I actually took it twice in my life. It did not help. I'm still on you know, some pills today, which are not good. But the long-term side effects, like, you just don't know about. But when I'm a kid and I have a full face of zits, I mean, try to explain to them, you know, maybe later you're not going to be able to,
Right.
you know, have a baby. Because again, talking with, was it Landon's mom? One of the kids that is sick, some of the drugs were take away fertility. So you're talking about kids that, you know, may never have kids because of what drugs they took. And cannabis is nowhere near any of that. I mean, if anything, you know, it can lower sperm count, but the second you stop using it, it higher sperm count. So it's not a permanent thing. But I mean, we don't know that, and doctors and people don't explain that to you. It's just like, this was a big one too when I first went to college and started microbiology. You know, they explained why you need to take your full prescription because no one tells you. They just say take all of it.
Right.
So you think, oh well, I just need to take all of it to make sure I'm not sick. No, you need to take all of it because you think you're not sick, and then, you know, you stop taking it, and then the bacteria start.
It's the super one, so
It
right.
starts mutating and then having a resistance to it. I mean, that's what they need to tell people. They don't just say take it all. Like, you need to tell them why.
Right. It's about education, definitely. And are we due for a break?
Oh, all right. Good job, Tamar. So we'll take a break and we'll be right back.
Indispensary in Colorado Springs is proud to support Overgrow the Radio. With 2 locations in Colorado Springs, Indispensary invites you to discover what true selection and values feel like. Always featuring an incredible array of Stanley Brothers medicine as well as full line of edible and infused products. Indispensary is open from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. 7 days a week, 364 days a year. You owe it to your health and well-being to discover Indispensary. Westside location at 3044 West Colorado and Eastside location at 3031 East Platte in Colorado Springs. Indispensary is your destination for indispensable quality medicine. iVita Wellness is committed to compassionate patient care while providing the highest quality medicine at an affordable price. At iVita Wellness, patients can get top shelf ounces for $150 every day. iVita Wellness also carries pharmaceutical grade pure CO2 oil. iVita Wellness is located in Uptown Denver on 1616 Pearl Street, open 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. You can reach us at 303-952-9150 or our website at www.ivitawellness.com. iVita Wellness is Denver's compassionate care center.
Whether you are a commercial grower or cultivate as a hobby, No Dough Urban Garden Supply is Denver's first stop for your hydroponic grow needs. With a wide range of products including House and Garden, Botanicare, and Fox Farm, their knowledgeable staff can get you started on your first garden or help you with your well-established business. No Dough Urban Garden Supply is located in downtown Denver at 1330 27th Street, 4 blocks north of Coors Field near MMD of Colorado. They are open 6 days a week from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Call 303-296-3424 or visit them on the web at www.nodoughurbangardensupply.com.
I'm Gary Johnson, and you're listening to Cannabis Radio, and I want to say, talk it up, Colorado.
Okay. You have to pledge what?
Oh, we were continuing our conversation about this Accutane. And you were saying that the reason you have to be on the birth control is because of the severe birth defects.
Severe birth defects. Yeah.
And I was just reading that now you do have to be on 2. You have to take multiple pregnancy tests, and you have to enroll in this I Pledge program to essentially promise that you won't, because the birth defects are that severe.
That's severe, and that girls didn't take this serious. Because listen, when I went in and they talked about it, I mean, they were like, this is serious. If you get pregnant, I mean, I wasn't even having sex back then, but they drilled it in my head. I can't imagine. And all those girls must have went out and went, oh, well, that's not going to happen to me. So now they have to go through all that stuff, which is still good. But I mean, imagine what it does to your body then.
Right. And all these, they're these genetic modifying type pharmaceutical drugs, or I should say non-selective pharmaceutical drugs, who it may be helping here with your oil glands to not have as much acne, but it's changing your gametes,
everything,
your genetic information, which is pretty scary.
It is scary. And I just don't know. And again, I mean, but on the other side, of course, it's helped out a ton. Okay. Not Accutane with me, but I mean, pharmaceuticals, have been helping people, but at the end of the day, I've been learning, since being in this industry, it's like when I'm watching these drug commercials, it's like, okay, so I could have psoriasis or I might die. Or, so it's like, okay, let's see, this or that. So of course, some of them probably are, maybe worth doing. I don't know. But I just think that we definitely could mix more of the two. And it's interesting how, when you tell people that you don't eat meat and stuff and they're like, oh, well, but the second you get cancer or something, they put you on a vegetarian diet. Wonder why that is. So, and it's amazing to me how people are like, God, I just don't know why we have so many disease and why we're sick. Well, because all of our food's processed with growth hormone and everything else. And everyone is just thrown pills to do everything. Pills. Don't have therapy. Just take this pill. It'll make you feel better.
Yeah, it's chemicals in our food. Plastic. If we were to have hemp plastic, the petroleum in plastic, the estrogen-like molecules in plastic, it's wreaking havoc. And you're right. There are a lot of people who are like, oh, where is this coming from? Animals didn't have cancer. Plants don't have cancer unless they have actual human interaction. Domesticated plant or
something
animals
feeding that cancer.
Exactly.
Right.
So it's just, Socrates said food is medicine. We lost our way.
We did. We've lost our way with food, drugs, and politics. Thank God we have cannabis, right? But I mean, I was going to say something along the, what is probably one of the scariest things that put growth hormone in perspective is women or girls, average age to start their period, menses, is I think 11 now in the United States.
Yeah, and actually the world average is much lower, I'm pretty sure.
Is it?
I read somewhere it was 8 to 9.
Oh my God, that makes me want to throw up. China, 17.
Wow.
17. And that's because they eat more natural foods and they don't eat and so when we're talking about, it's not just dairy, let's look at that dairy. It's all the hormones that the cow's getting, then they're putting in the milk, the preservatives, all of that stuff just keeps stacking up. And next thing you know, your body is turning on itself because it looks so much, those protein chains look like your own protein chains because your body can't break it down. So it starts attacking itself. That's why there's so much autoimmune, so many type 1 diabetes now.
And allergies.
Allergies. Oh my God.
I've never had allergies ever. And I woke up the other night I was like, Matt, I'm sick. And he's like, no, those are allergies.
And you're like, what's that?
Yeah, right. It's just, and more kids are developing allergies early.
Right.
Asthma,
Asthma. Yep. I know. And there's a reason. Well, what's interesting too is the whole, and yeah, I kind of want your opinion on this, Tamar, but, So Angelina Jolie, right, got the test, and so she had that gene, the breast
one.
right. So, and her mom had died and stuff. Okay, I totally get it, but aren't genes like seeds? So if I have a seed here and I don't water it, it's not going to pop into a flower or whatever.
Right. So as far as, because people do say, oh, well, I'm genetically disposed to. I mean, my initial science was genetics. I love genetics. But newer research is showing how much control the environment plays, or how much influence the environment has. And you're right. So if you're genetically predisposed to get something or have something, it doesn't necessarily mean
you're going to get it.
Right. And there are environmental actions you can take to prevent those from ever occurring.
Like diet.
Mm-hmm. And one of the biggest things with the BRCA1 and BRCA2 genes, cannabinoids affect those genes on the genetic level. So if you're, medical marijuana is accepted as a response. If you're really, really sick, it makes sense that you can choose this type of medicine over pharmaceuticals. Mm-hmm. But the emphasis needs to move towards
preventative.
Dr. Courtney's doing this as well with his juicing. It's like a vitamin. It is a preventative molecule that you can have in your body. And as you were saying, we're not saying everyone go out and get high. There are cannabinoids that are non-psychoactive. If you eat raw cannabis, there's not enough THC to make you high. Period.
You could just throw it in with your spinach. You'd never know. Mm-hmm.
So it's just diet. It's education about you are what you eat, and you can prevent these type of diseases with natural food.
Right. So the first time I had heard that is when I read the China study, which is actually what made me question eating meat. Now, of course, there's stuff around that too, and that it could have been gluten and not meat and, whatever. But when he said that, that completely made sense. And so my grandma had breast cancer. She survived breast cancer. And my mom has not, knock on wood, had breast cancer, but my grandma smoked from 13 till she died when she was 79, meat and potatoes, not water. No, I mean, I barely saw her drink water, no exercise, overweight. And she lived to 79. I can't even believe she lived. And right before she died, the reason she went into the hospital to get some heart stents, she had only been using 20% of her heart because it had been blocked for 10 years, they estimated. She is strong as I can't even imagine. So for me, who tries to exercise and do the right thing, I believe that just because if I did have the cancer gene, and I haven't decided if I'm going to go get it or not, but I think that there's more to it, and your genes just don't make you a certain way. But everyone loves to jump on the, my so and so I'm probably going to get it, or my dad, and it's ridiculous. And I just hope we, get more studies on that before women start running out, cutting off their breasts. Oh my God. And that's major surgery.
And then, so she got a double mastectomy just from a positive on the gene test.
And her mom dying from cancer.
But see, and then if you get reconstructive surgery and you put in implants, you're putting in petroleum plastic.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense.
See, I don't know. I mean, I guess I can see it from her side, and that was a big decision on her part. But again, what are you putting in your body? How many breast augmentations have gone wrong? I mean, a lot, and especially that we don't hear about. Anything foreign in your body, you have the chance of your body rejecting it. And do we have to go to a break? All right, we'll take a break and we'll be right back.
iVita Wellness is committed to compassionate patient care while providing the highest quality medicine at an affordable price. At iVita Wellness, patients can get top shelf ounces for $150 every day. iVita Wellness also carries pharmaceutical-grade pure CO2 oil. iVita Wellness is located in Uptown Denver on 1616 Pearl Street, open 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. You can reach us at 303-952-9150 or our website at www.ivitawellness.com. iVita Wellness is Denver's Compassionate Care Center.
The law offices of Edson, Maton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
Whether you are a commercial grower or cultivate as a hobby, No Dough Urban Garden Supply is Denver's first stop for your hydroponic grow needs. With a wide range of products including House and Garden, Botanicare, and Fox Farm, their knowledgeable staff can get you started on your first garden or help you with your well-established business. No Dough Urban Garden Supply is located in downtown Denver at 1330 27th Street, 4 blocks north of Coors Field near MMD of Colorado. They are open 6 days a week from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Call 303-296-3424 or visit them on the web at www.nodoughurbangardensupply.com.
And we're on. We have Sam helping us out today because poor Chris had some car troubles. Sure. Just kidding. Anyway, so it's just very interesting. And it goes back to education. Now, another thing that, we don't talk a lot about, and that's the topicals. So I was with Julie Dooley. She takes care of, along with Tamar, she takes care of my dog when I'm gone. And I went to pick up Gigi on Saturday, and she was telling me how she put your CBD tincture on her huge scratch on her leg, and she's like, "Oh my God, it healed it instantly." Nice. So it's like cortisone cream. Like, are we worried about, that kind of thing? And again, all natural, no side effects, but we'll pile on steroid cream and not remembering that our skin is the biggest absorption, right, that we have. And here we are piling chemicals of deodorant under our arms and all of that. But I just want to let you know, give you guys a shout out that Julie was like, "Oh my God." And so she burned her hand the other day making some butter, and she used somebody else's product, and she said it made her hand worse.
Oh no.
She's like, "I was going to bring it into the lab, but I'm just never going to use it. So I had to put, Dixie's CBD stuff on there." But I mean, but there are many ways. We've got to get away from cannabis high. High equals cannabis because, like I said a couple weeks ago, so I finally got my juicer. Nice. And now I'm back from vacation. I want to set it up and I want to start juicing. I need somebody to donate some flowers because I can't grow. So, and then I'm going to start just juicing and kind of keep track of how I'm feeling and everything. Plus, since I try not to eat a lot of animal products. I do, my protein shakes are pea protein or hemp protein.
Nice.
So, I want to start doing a lot of that juicing. I mean, I don't know if you've seen Betty, but she looks incredible.
Has she been juicing?
Oh my God. She's lost, I don't even know how much weight. Her pants were like gaping off of her when we were in DC. I'm like, you need to go shopping. But yeah, juicing, because we, again, take out all the good stuff for convenience, No seeds. So many seeds are good, right? Apricot seeds and stuff like that. Good for cancer.
Seeds, flax seeds.
But conveniently, we were annoyed and didn't want to de-seed things. So now they just bred out of all that
they
stuff.
genetically modified them.
Right. Great. I just don't know. I just don't understand how we got so sideways with so many things.
Right. And it's
seriously.
It's kind of like humans' way of controlling nature, because you found something, try to understand it, and then you try to mimic it. But
make it easier.
Or
that's what we're about.
The Industrial Revolution, right? Making things faster and quicker and more efficient, more economical. But somewhere we kind of lost our direction. And you were saying, our skin is our largest organ that we absorb.
Organ. That's what the word I was looking for. It's the largest. Yeah, organ.
And I mean, Matt and I found this store recently. It's called Lush. It's not only organic and natural, but it's also fair trade. And so, we've completely converted over. We use solid shampoos, solid conditioners.
Where's this at?
It's at the mall, actually. It's in Boulder. It's at Cherry Creek Mall and Park Meadows.
And it's called Lush?
And
awesome.
It originated in Europe, and they are actually the reason why the EU bans animal testing on cosmetic products. Is half of the petition signatures were from this company.
Really?
And like I was saying, it's all fair trade. So they get their shea butter, their coconut oil, their sodium bicarbonate, all from fair trade kind of rural companies. And they list all of their products. It's minimal packaging. They have maybe 1 or 2 preservatives, but they're kind of more natural preservatives. I mean, it is amazing. We were talking about our skin earlier. Matt's been using this natural product, and it is amazing.
See?
How your skin looks dewy. You're actually absorbing those nutrients, those enzymes that are natural.
Right. That reminds me. So I was on Facebook looking, and there was this story that I posted. You might have seen it. And it has a picture of this granny, and she's in a grocery store. And the checker was like, yeah, you should bring some recycling bags or something like that. And it was so awesome. It had this long story about, we don't take care of the planet. People in my generation, we used to reuse bottles, reuse diapers, bring the bottles back to the companies so they would reuse. Right. We made our own jellies, everything, reuse the jar. I mean, the list went on and on. Like, I just had to take a step back and go, oh my God, like, that's so right. They walked, they didn't have large engine cars. Right. I mean, it just went on, and it really, it's really just in the last few decades that we've just completely crushed everything. And look at it, we're back to, we wanted big, large stores for convenience. Now we all go to the farmer's market.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Yeah.
Saturday, headed to the farmer's market or whatever. And then on, I love the show Sunday mornings from 8 to 9:30 or 7 to 8:30. I don't know, but it's on Channel 4, and it's CBS This Morning or something. I don't know. It's every Sunday, and they were talking about sharing. Like this idea going back to sharing. You can share cars now. Yeah. You can share your house now. You can share your electronics. You can share everything you have because the internet has made it so easy now to share. It's incredible.
When Lex was here, remember he was talking about, because I had heard about some programs where you can rent out a room or even just a couch.
Right. And think about that. So then that brings you back to actually meeting people and talking to people and having new experiences. It was the coolest thing. And we're really reverting back to it's almost, it really almost scary. It gives me goosebumps, but everything we're going back.
Everything is, as you're saying, it's digital, and having a Facebook friend isn't the same thing as seeing this friend, you know what I mean? So.
No, but when you talk to somebody, they're going, hey, have you talked to so-and-so? Oh, yeah, really? When? Oh, we Facebooked. Well, really? Sweet. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Facebook because then you get to see pictures and keep track of your friends that you don't get to see. But at the same time, then you less see other people because you feel
Right.
like you know what's going on in their life.
Right.
But I miss giving all my friends, you know, hugs and letters. Oh, so now check this out. You can send greeting cards electronically, but they actually get a physical card.
Oh, so you like order it?
So you design it on the website, everything, put pictures, do whatever you want, but the person actually gets a physical card, which I think is pretty cool because my handwriting
awesome.
sucks.
I was at Brookstone, and you can get a tree. You can get
A cloud, a star.
No, like a shrub, or there's
You can?
these edible plants. And you can put like a little message, and as a tree.
Oh, that's so cute. See, I am not a gardener, but I wish I had a garden. You know, just to get that fresh produce. But now you can buy those contraptions on the wall and stuff.
Yeah, Matt and I were gonna get a mushroom log.
What? Really?
Not magic mushrooms, just regular edible mushrooms.
Regular edible mushrooms?
for
So can you
immunity.
imagine how much you would save? Plus the fact that tomatoes suck. Every time I go to the grocery store, they're terrible, and they're so expensive.
Grow your own. I have
Grow your own.
I have one of those topsy turvy.
Do those
tomato
work?
ones. I don't know. I'll let you know. I have a
Okay.
strawberry one and a pepper one too. We have
Really?
a small patio. So
Right. See, I don't even know that. But that will be very cool. I definitely think that coming back it's going to be more and on these same lines, cannabis is a it's commerce. So, you know, you can use it to and now in Colorado, I mean, you're allowed to give, exchange,
I've always said we
barter.
should bring back the barter system.
Well, I think it's moving that way. I really do.
That's awesome.
I really do. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm excited for next year. I mean, like you were saying, I get lots of emails from people with really, you know, they're fresh out of college, really good degrees, all science-based, very interested in coming out to Colorado. I spoke to someone, one gentleman who he said the day after he graduated, he flew out here to set up residency.
My dream would to be to have like cannabis centers, like Cancer Centers of America, but
absolutely.
cannabis where you had the whole entire thing. And we'll have it here where people fly in, like a Mayo clinic.
Right.
And we'll have the best cannabis doctors, yoga.
And then you can further that exactly, so you could have the medical aspect and then the psychological aspect too, and then even the drug addiction aspect.
Totally.
You know, I agree, and that's actually this is why I love the people in the industry who have similar, very, you know,
similar goals and
right,
sights. Yeah.
and bringing the most relief to the most people I know is one of them that all of us share. And I mean, imagine if we could have a cannabis center where you could check yourself in for whatever is ailing you.
Absolutely. Or for all the families that have children that were dying and they could actually get treated, because right now, for those of you who don't know this, most children, their day-to-day doctors do not know that they take cannabis because a lot of them would drop them and take them away from the treatment. So yeah, imagine a place where you actually had a doctor that was doing all of it constantly. And then have the other things, therapy and spiritual yoga, whatever, you know, that makes you feel better.
And you bring up a valid point. You know, the American drug wars too, when they're talking about Cash Hyde's story, you know, and it was easier for those Western doctors to say, "Oh, this is a miracle," instead of, "Oh, this was because his parents were sneaking him cannabis oil."
Right.
I mean, like you were saying, have cannabinoid scientists and doctors who are proving that this is the one medicine that is doing this. Right.
And as we know, you know, Charlotte Charlotte, Zakai, all of them. I mean, it's amazing. So I can't wait until the full, CNN comes out. I think a lot of people are going to have different ideas of what it is. And then I honestly think a lot of people will be coming here in 2014 that maybe are against it, but want to see what it's about and maybe, educate themselves on it. Who knows? Maybe we should start a curriculum for all the universities.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've always wanted to do that too, actually, for young women. But where are we at in time there, Sammy?
4 o'clock.
All right, 4 o'clock. I'm so sorry. I've got so much to do today. Anyway, awesome. Well, Tamar and I really want to have some debates on this show. I want to get some doctors in here. I really want to turn it up as far as, getting some opposite stories because, we can sit here all day and say but I'd like to get people in here to talk about the opposite or at least, give their opinions on things. So I'm going to work hard to set up some of those shows. All right. See you next week.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.